But how do you guys like doing conventions? What have you guys like been up to? Like since you're from this region, like what do you really enjoy about finding? Are there special conventions you guys like hitting up, or specific ones that not as many creators hit up? Because like this one
Mm.
in Philly, Thy Geekdom, it's like kind of like it's an offset convention. You know what I mean? It's not typical comic book going show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how'd you find that one?
So that was like one. It's funny, like so when we started doing this, I like inadvertently figured out a method of like, I'll just kind of peruse a database of conventions.
Mhm.
And there are some like I'll do a little bit of research, and there are some that like I put on my like immediate watch list to be like, all right, let's see how this is, or let's take let's be on their wait list to join the to be eligible to attend. And there's some where I'm just like, I'm unsure, but I'm going to follow them on Instagram and just like look at their posts. Maybe we'll skip this year and we'll like regroup the next year and see like,
What website do you use? What's the database?
I don't even remember it, but it's like comicconventions.com or something like that. And
I
it's
think
just
I
like,
know what you're talking about. I stumbled across a website like that recently. Yeah.
And so like I first I start at the very top and I look at the states. And then so in my mind, I immediately check off like too far, or like we've done this a little too, like we've been in here a little too much, like maybe next year, like, so this was like one of those like tertiary conventions, like from the beginning that like, I think maybe it was kind of, it was very close to us. And I think I'd wanted to sort of start a little further out. Like we started in Rhode Island and New Hampshire, kind of like the main New England area. That's kind of where our first couple of cons were. And then we started bringing it a little closer to home. And I don't know. I saw a video once of like their Instagram, and like their line for their Saturday was like around the corner. I'm just like, all right, cool. And it's a 3-day convention. It's close. Like it just, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I just,
but yeah, we try to change it up a lot. So yeah, we try to like check out conventions we haven't done before. And unfortunately there have been a lot that we've liked doing in the past that the last time we did it, it wasn't very good. Either the crowd is just a lot more into things that aren't indie comics. Whether it's fan art or just like pop culture, merchandise and stuff like that. So we've been there have been a few that we've been going to for a few years that are now off the list, and we're trying out new ones to see how it goes.
Yeah, that's a big concern, I think, across the market is just like, where do I find the convention that like lets me sell comics and that like brings that type of audience towards us? So many people bring their money just loaded with all this other stuff, and like it's hard to really be included and stand out amongst that crowd sometimes. How do you lure like people from that audience to your? I mean, granted, like Starside is super cool looking, and you have an awesome setup, and you have like a plethora of issues. You have like 6 issues, and you have like something that could really enhance people. But like in general, I know it's a struggle to always bring people. I always have struggle, even whenever I table at these offset conventions.
Yeah.
What do you guys kind of do to bring people in?
So honestly, for better, for worse, we really rely on the cool look of Starside. We also think it's cool. And, our table setup, and we are really proud of sort of the consistency across our table of, all of the art that we have is done by Jordan, save for like a couple pieces that like a couple prints we've done with other artists. And so it all really flows together, and people really seem to like our banner that we have behind us that we really like as well. Just like kind of this nice graphic that kind of gives you the vibe of what the story is about. And because we're not salespeople. When we're walking around the convention floor, we don't like when people will say, hey, like, come check out my comic, or do you like such and such? Because we're both just like, I guess, at least speaking for myself, I'm so like much an introvert, and I want to see something at a table and like it and go up, and then I'll ask questions, and then maybe I'll buy something. And so we want to give that experience to people as well. So we will just sit and let people come up. We have a display comic in the middle of the table. It's turned to like a page that we love. And we always say, if people are looking, we always say, like, feel free to flip through the pages if you'd like, no pressure. Just we will sit back and let people decide if they're interested. And then they might, sometimes people will just look at the comic and be like, all right, how much? And they'll buy an issue or they'll buy all 6 and we'll be like, all right, hope you like it. And sometimes people will ask, okay, what is Starside about? And we'll start a conversation. But yeah, we really just rely on, we are giving out the vibes of what our story is and who we are. And if it catches people's eye, they will come and explore it for themselves.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way to go in a sense, a big way. Cause put yourself in their position sometimes, especially when you're looking at the person. I get like that too. Even though as like extroverted I may seem sometimes, I'm definitely an introvert in the big sense of like, I just don't want to make eye contact yet. Like I just, I'll look over. I just need a breather. Like I'm probably in my own world when I'm walking through like certain spots. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're kind of just like figuring stuff out. You're kind of panicking because there's so many people around.
I kind of wish I can like pause time.
Yeah.
And like kind of walk through and inspect everything at my own.
Yeah. Honestly. And just like, all right, cool. I know what I'm going to hit up now. I have a plan. I see how everything's laid out. I know where the bathroom is. I'm not going to freak out if anything happens. Yeah. It's like that con anxiety, and it's con season now. So we're all kind of breaking the ice in these first couple conventions, I feel, into being like, all right, am I going to go through this entire summer into fall, like, just back to back shows? Do you guys do other, I know I noticed on your website, you guys do other shows as well, but do you guys do anything smaller, like in, your local area or anything? Cause I do hear about some like art shows and stuff that people have popped into like every week or every few weeks or, once a month type of things. Do you guys do stuff like that too?
It's funny, actually. I have some new friends who like every week they're like, oh, I'm tabling at this thing in Brooklyn. And it's just, there are so many events like that that I had never heard of until someone says, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And so it's funny that you bring that up now, because it's just now kind of entering my radar that even exists. There have been local Comic-Cons that like people we know and have met through small conventions have then set up either on Staten Island or Brooklyn. And so we've done those. But we haven't done any like pop-up art markets or things that happen on a regular basis. I think just because we haven't been aware of them. I don't know if there is one on Staten Island. If anyone can let us know if there is, that'd be great.
Drop them in the comments, please. Look for all of these. Yes.
That could also be like our fault. Like we're definitely not the biggest, like we don't get out there as much.
Yeah.
Other than like the conventions we're doing. It's just hard whether, we're balancing our own schedules with like events we want to go to and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, but whenever we hear about like a new, oh, hi, kitty cat.
T'Challa always makes an appearance almost every episode.
I love it. Yeah. Whenever we hear about, someone in our circle setting up a convention for the first time or doing something small and local to project local voices, like we always want to be down for that. We did one called IC3. I wouldn't call it local because I think people came from everywhere and it wasn't certainly local to us, but it was Matthew Sardo, whose newsletter I had subscribed to for a long time, put together an Indie Comics Creator Con, and we were like,
Powered
well, we
by
gotta.
Comics Wellspring.
That's right. That's all about it. And so yeah, it was just like we were like, we have to, we really want to be a part of this. We love to see first time events go well, as that one did. We love doing that one. And yeah,
and that was like one of the best type of like conventions possible, like going there and being there and just seeing everyone that was just like comic focus, and it sounded like everyone had a blast. It sounded like everyone had some sort of success there. I know we bumped into each other there for a moment because like I knew like like I know like through our messages, both of us were just like, we know each other somehow, but we like, and I remember it was like if it was a conversation, it was such a brief, like we were zooming by and while you're at your table type of thing. But it was like, it's one of those things, like, look how connected that is. And even just mention of that con. And since it was like the only one that's happened so far, you kind of know, like, if you know about this convention, And what's been crazy is that like more people are hearing about IC3 and what it did and what it's trying to do. And actually, we have a big announcement in our newsletter about IC3 for next year, and what they're doing and like how much it's like grown and all this cool stuff. We'll be giving you a lot of insight through CWS. Cool thing to bring up, I guess, right now too. Good job myself on marketing. But it's one of those things like that convention is just what we need. You know, it's like what we want to try to do more, and it would be great to see like it like across the country see that trend, you know, like whether it be IC3 or other people picking it up, but that just that sole focus on like we're just going to do indie comics because like look how much it's grown and the variety behind it.